Today we're talking about a founder who looked at the #1 rule of the internet, that everything should be free, and basically said, nope. He built a massive knowledge empire by convincing millions of people to pay for something they could get for nothing. It's an incredible story about challenging assumptions.
So that's the big question we're digging into here. Is it really possible to build a huge, profitable company online by asking people to pay for content up front? I mean, think about it. The entire digital economy, from Google to Facebook to the whole shebang, is built on the exact opposite idea. But what if they're all wrong?
Okay, to really get this story, you've got to understand what the founder, Fan Deng, was walking away from. He was making about $4,000 a day as a lecturer. That's 30,000 RMB a day. So the real question is, why on earth would you ever walk away from that kind of money?
Well, as great as that sounds on paper, Fan Deng realized he was actually trapped. He was caught in what he himself called a terrible business model. He was just trading his time directly for money, and it was absolutely costing him his life. I mean, get this. He was on the road lecturing for almost 300 days a year. If he wanted to take just a 10-day vacation, it would literally cost him 300,000 RMB in lost income. He had zero personal time, no real freedom, and maybe worst of all, his business could never, ever grow beyond the hours he could personally work. It was basically a golden cage, and he knew, deep down, he had to find a way out.
So, while he was teaching all these high-powered executives, he stumbled onto this really fascinating problem. It wasn't that people didn't have access to knowledge, it was that they didn't have the habit of learning. And that single insight, it became the foundation for his entire company.
The insight was so simple, but wow, it's powerful. His successful students, they were hungry for knowledge. They'd ask him for book recommendations. They'd go out and buy the books. They'd even give the books away as gifts. But here's the kicker. They never actually read them. He saw this huge gap between the desire to learn and the actual act of learning.
And this all led him to this core belief, this philosophy that's just so powerful. We think paying for a course or a subscription is expensive, but Fan Deng says, no. The real cost, the hidden tax on your life, is ignorance. Think about it. The price you pay for not knowing how to manage your health, or your money, or your relationships, that cost is way, way higher than any subscription fee.
Okay, so he's got this problem identified. He's ready to solve it. His first try? It was logical, it was straightforward, and it was a total flop. But, sometimes that's what has to happen, because that failure led to the pivot that changed absolutely everything.
See, he had these 2 tech skills and he was super proud of, making PowerPoints and sending mass emails. So he charged his students 300 RMB a year and promised to email them this detailed PPT summary of a book every single week. The problem? Most of his emails went straight to spam. And then he had this aha moment. People who are too busy to read a book are definitely too busy to read a 5,000-word email about a book.
But here's the thing. He'd already taken their money. And he has this personal rule. He never, ever gives refunds. So he was stuck. He had to find another way to deliver the value he promised.
And right around that time, the messaging app WeChat had just rolled out group chats. So he pulls all his paying members into a group, and instead of a long email, he starts sending his summaries as a bunch of 1-minute voice notes. And boom, it was a total game changer. People could listen on their commute while doing chores, whenever. It just fit perfectly into their busy lives, and demand just went through the roof. He was adding thousands of new members a month, just filling up these 500-person groups one after another.
So the WeChat thing proved people wanted this, but it didn't solve the biggest puzzle of all. How do you convince complete strangers on the internet to pay for something when literally everything else is free? This is where he came up with his most brilliant idea.
Let's break this down, because it's a huge shift in thinking. The standard internet model, right? They give you free stuff, and then they sell your eyeballs to advertisers. In that model, you're not the customer. You are the product being sold. Fan Deng just flipped that whole thing on its head. When you pay a subscription, you become the customer. The company works for you, and instead of chasing viral clicks, he decided to scale through a network of actual people.
So what he did was, he basically created this army of evangelists, or agents. These were just passionate users who would host these small, offline meetups, play a sample of a book summary for their friends and network, and then sell memberships for a pretty nice commission. It was genius, really. A super low-risk way to scale the business through real, face-to-face community. Totally sidestepping the whole online ad game.
But look, a great business model is nothing if the product stinks, right? And that brings us to their whole philosophy on content, which, by the way, has nothing to do with what's trending or popular.
And this is so important. He says, we sell change, not hot topics. They're not in the business of selling information.
They're in the business of selling personal transformation. They know that a subscriber is only going to renew if they feel like their life has genuinely gotten better over the past year. Sure, they could chase clicks talking about celebrity drama, but that's not going to change your life. And if your life doesn't change, you're not going to renew. Simple as that.
So to actually deliver that change, they think about their content in these 3 layers. At the top, you've got tools. These are the practical how-to books that get people in the door. Below that, you have concepts, which are ideas that actually change how you think. And at the very bottom, the foundation, is literacy, the deep knowledge from history, philosophy, and science that gives you a richer map of the world. It's a complete intellectual diet.
And this whole idea is wrapped up in this ancient quote from Confucius: "A gentleman is not a tool." It means you shouldn't treat a person like an object with just one single function. I mean, think about it. Most internet companies slap 20,000 labels on you just so they can target you with ads. They treat you like a tool for their profit. His approach is the exact opposite. It's about seeing users as complete human beings with this incredible, limitless potential for growth.
Okay, but this brings us to the elephant in the room, right? The biggest challenge today, AI. If this whole business is about summarizing books, can an AI just do it better, faster, and for free? This is the final, and maybe the most important, piece of the whole puzzle.
And this is the exact question Fan Deng asks. An AI can spit out a book summary in, 3 minutes? So what? Why does his service, or for that matter, why does reading itself even still matter? The answer gets to the very heart of what learning actually is.
Because, and this is the key, information is not transformation. Just getting a list of bullet points from an AI might give you the facts, but it doesn't create real understanding. It doesn't actually change you. Here's how it actually works in your brain. You've got 86 billion neurons up there, and learning happens when you literally forge new physical connections between them. It's the struggle, the effort of grappling with an idea, that's what physically changes your brain structure. So when an AI summarizes a book, guess what? The AI's neural network gets rewired. The learning happens inside the computer, not inside your head.
And that really leaves us with this one big final thought to chew on. We are living in a world of infinite, instant answers. But maybe the real value, the thing that makes us human and actually helps us grow, isn't in getting the easy answer. Maybe it's in the struggle, the curiosity, the very human effort of asking the question in the first place.